ever since I've gotten this car in December, right? This is the 4th, 5th time I've been in the mechanic. Once I'm gonna fix this car and then I'm just gonna sell it. It's okay, the car's not worth it though. Boy, it's not worth it. Get yourself a Honda Civic. Get yourself a Honda Jazz. Get yourself, what's the other one? Polo, maybe, I don't know.
Do you guys know one thing that I wasn't fucking prepared for? I'll tell you right now. I'm 23 years old. I'm gonna be 24 in October. I am trying to save up my money so I can move out of my family home, get a nice one bed or a studio somewhere in London, and just have some independence, have some peace. Would love that, okay? No one told me that it's impossible to save money when you have a car. No, it's actually impossible. Every time I get paid, something happens with my car. Something. I just got paid my wages, a fat lump sum, and I get a letter the next day in the mail. You need to pay your road tax, 200 and something pounds. You're having me on. It's like the government knows when you're paid. It's like they know when to send these letters, because as soon just got paid again. I need to go get my brakes fixed. It's impossible to save while having a license, and I don't understand it. I don't understand how people have a car that's financed, plus rent, plus bill. How are you affording this?
Those videos were just in relation to this video, which is about analyzing how people have invested in cars that maybe at the time couldn't afford. I've always looked at certain things in life like, look, if I can't afford it at that time, I'm not going to try and break my back for it. If I'm in a position where I may want this or that, if I can go around and manage for the meantime something else that I can use, you know, that can still, you know, fulfill its duty for me, then I'm doing it. I'm doing it for the moment. I'm not the type to be like, oh, this person, that person is doing all of that, so let me now jump on and do it exactly like how they're doing it because they're getting a reception from certain people. And for me, I've always had my mind and my opinion on what I believe I can do and manage and, you know what I mean, sustain. So this video is literally going through different people's stories of them investing in cars that, quite frankly, it turned out to be a problem. Financially, the maintenance aspects of things, obviously also not researching certain things that are required for a car to be maintained and managed. So let's get into it and hear what people are saying and hear what people's circumstances that people have been in.
Buying a Mercedes at 19 was probably the worst financial decision I've ever made. I started my job at 18 and I decided to treat myself to my first car, a 2014 Mercedes A180. I didn't know much about cars when I was buying my car. We didn't even have a family car. I thought it would be a good idea for me to spend a little bit more on a nicer car that will last long. Unfortunately, I was wrong because it's caused me too much of a financial burden. The upfront price tag was quite steep and I think I did get a little bit scammed by the dealership. They didn't even give me the logbook when I bought the car to go into back and forth arguments with the dealership. Red flag number one. Even though it had an AA guarantee, it started having little problems. When I did my car's first MOT, it failed, and getting the MOT fixed cost me like £800. That's not even including insurance. I think the first year of insurance for me was 2.7k and now it's at like 1.1k a year. But it's my first year of insurance was nearly £3,000. I don't even know how I managed to like do that, because me right now, the way I am, I'm absolutely like, you know, I would not do that. I lived at home with my mum, so my priorities were different. I do think that if I hadn't wasted my time buying a Mercedes, I'd be way financially better off. Problem after problem, when I think I'm done paying the monthly fee of my car and paying all the insurance fees, my car decides to break down on my way to see family. I literally had to be rescued by one of my best friends in the middle of the night outside of London. It was so scary. To make it worse, the time that this happened couldn't have been the worst time, because I had just started the process of buying my new flat and I needed all the money I could get because the legal fees are steep. So when I knew there was a bill incoming, I had to brace myself. I was not financially ready for that. I was the final straw. So I am deciding to sell my car. I'm done with it. So if I could go back to when I was 19, I would get a cheap car that I viewed back then as ugly, but one that's reliable.
She mentioned having to pay about $3,000 for insurance. 19, getting a Mercedes. She probably thought, look, Mercedes, name brand, let me jump into this. She even said the family didn't have a car. So there was no family car, but she said, nah, I'm going to buck the trend. I'm going to be styling on people. And it was a burden, crazy burden. How are you paying $3,000? Like, on average, and I know she's young, so, you know, like, it's different for younger people in terms of the amounts they pay. They pay generally a higher insurance rate. But I find that crazy. And you may say, oh, 2014 Mercedes, that's realistic. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. From what I've seen and what I've, discovered, the amounts roughly on average, I think something about 900, 800, 900 and something is the average, I think, for her age group. It looks like she's in, obviously she's in 19, so she's, 20s by now, like early 20s. So those age groups on average, it's about that 900 and something. So she got ripped off. And she did say she didn't really have that much knowledge on what she was doing. So that's another thing. You're going to have to do the research like there's no tomorrow. You're going to have to even if you know somebody that knows cars or knows, do you know what I mean? Some understanding of what is required for a car when you're buying it in terms of the state it needs to be in, the fees, trying to get the best deal you can get from an insurance perspective. You have to do so much research. But she did say, look, if she was, if she could return back time, she would have just got a car that was reliable. If I heard the price that they said from an insurance perspective, I would have said, mate, you're having a laugh. You can do one. But there was comments on the video. My first year of insurance was almost £8,000. First year, someone said their insurance was 8,000. Crazy. Another person says, oh no, girl, 2,000. I have a Polo 2011 and it's 3,000. Girl, my first year insurance was 3,000 on a Golf. And now I've got a Fiesta and it's 1.7K 3 years down the line. Yeah, man, those crazy prices. Oh no, girl, 2,700. Another one, 3,300. Crazy. And that's just for the year. And I'm guaranteed these are people with first cars. More often than not, it's their first car or potentially second car. Young, going through those crazy payments, and on top of that, having to pay it off so your credit is not messed up. You see, you can get into so many other issues. That's why you got to look at these things. When you get a position, if you're getting a job or whatever it is, get to the money first. Stack for a good 9 months at least. Then look at what car you can get that's not crazy insurance, or even if you can look at different options when it comes to just how your payment terms are. Just researching as much as one can.
One topic that I have been meaning to talk about my car finance, and I just want to start being open now about how much I owe, how much I originally owed, and how much I've got left, and how much I've paid so far. I'm trying to correct my wrongs. Obviously, like, I knew that this was going to be this financial debt that I'm in with my car. Let's talk numbers. Let me tell you guys how much I owe, how much is left, and let's just go from there. So the car is worth about 4,000, 3,000 pounds, I would say. If I were to buy this car, it is honestly just worth around 4,000. This car has cost me 10,000 pounds. I know it's really bad. I know. It's really bad. I have managed to pay at least 5,000 because I have been really bad with money. Like, I have been really, really terrible with the way that I handle money, with the way that I treat money. I have had a really unhealthy relationship with money. And one thing about me that I learned is that just because I was making money did not mean that I knew how to keep it or how to use it. And investing into money was never something that I was ever good at. £10,000, I signed that contract 3 years ago and took this car on finance. The car is not worth 10,000, guys. Like I said, I think I am halfway. I have paid about 5,000 already of this car, and I still have 5,000 left to go. I do want to get to the point where I can save up like a chunk of money and then like just pay off as quickly and as fast as I possibly can. But yeah, guys, I know that this is a very big debt. It's a lot of money. I know what I know now about money, and just to value it as much as I possibly can.
The car is a 4K car worth £4,000, and now it's gone to 10,000. She says she believes she's paid half of the amount of the 10,000, but to have a car at 4K and it gets to 10, again, lack of research potentially, because I think you will be able to find out quite easily that that car being 4K should nowhere near get to 10. So you've been duped, unfortunately. But she made a clear distinction of the fact that she wasn't the type that has been good with money. And I think that's where it stems from. But she's got, it seems, a better, grasp on how to handle money and how to maintain, getting things situated first before you, get into big investments, or just researching better, it seems. And I think that's what this would have, been. Better research, you wouldn't have had to pay 10K, no way. But a comment said, I'm confused on how you thought an old Ford Fiesta was even worth 10K. I'm confused a little bit too. But when you want something, sometimes you're not even checking properly of what is, the average on something. What's the average, this, or what's the average of that, or where else can I find a deal? It's just that you saw something, maybe checked a few things and thought, okay, that one will be well. That one will be well with me. But got to double check and really assess things, because no way, a Ford Fiesta, you should be paying 10K. No way. Someone says, I can't do credit. If I can't cash it, I can't afford it. That makes sense. That makes sense. You've got 10K in your account, right? And you see a car for 5K. I will even say, in my humble opinion, don't spend 5K on the car. I don't think you can even afford it. But I've got 10K though. I can just spend 5. I don't believe you can afford it. I don't think leaving you with 5K, taking half of it, is something that constitutes you can afford it. You have to get to at least a 20K, in my humble opinion, if you can. Now, if you're at a point where you need that car because you need to go this there, and everywhere, because you've got maybe a child or children, hey. But if you don't, and you don't need to be in this position, I would say, if you had, this is just an example, if you had 10K and the car's 5, don't spend on that. You're gonna have to get something a little bit more cheaper. If you check that everything is decent in terms of its fulfillments of passing certain MOT checks and all this stuff. But that's just my opinion.
Here's a story about a dumb mistake I made in my 20s, and I'll pass it on so that you can decide whether or not you might make the same mistake as what I did. So I bought a Porsche. I was 25. It wasn't a new Porsche, it was an old Porsche, and I convinced myself that it was reasonably cheap, it wouldn't lose much money in depreciation, and I would be able to enjoy it and have a bit of fun with it for a couple of years and sell it and get my money back. That was until 2 weeks in and the engine management light came on, and I thought, oh God, this sounds or feels like it's going to be expensive. And basically took it in to get it checked out, and all 4 of the catalytic converters had they're gone, basically, have caused an engine management light sensor issues, and I looked at how much the cost would have been to repair it, and it would have been about £2,000. So at the time, financially, I had taken a loan out for £12,000, and I think I'd saved 7. I think the car was about 19,000. So, and it was a 10-year-old car at the time, about 50,000 miles. So realistically, should have had plenty of life left in it. Anyway, I couldn't afford it, basically. So I'd spent every penny I'd got on this, and every monthly payment that I was going to make would have been going into the car. So I didn't have any spare emergency fund. Did a video about that the other day. No emergency funds to be able to pay back or pay for any of the repairs that the car might need. So I ended up having to write a letter through Citizens Advice and write to the dealer and send the car dealer a letter basically saying 2 weeks, like I've had the car for 2 weeks and it's not quite up to scratch, can I have a refund? And he ignored me. And in the end, he did actually reply, because I was just so persistent in it, because I was so desperately broke from it all and scared about how much it might cost.
That's a teachable moment for him. That was when he said he was in his 20s. And that's where it really gets people in their young age of wanting to have this named brand car or name brand things, right? You start early in those moments of life where you just want to have this look because of a perception, right? Of what people are looking at and thinking of you. So that's what it is. He learned from it, got his Porsche, but even to then get a Porsche back then, he was doing, you know what I mean? You may say, look, he even had a story to say that he had a Porsche at one point in his life. So, hey, he's got that story to, you know, as a good thing maybe, potentially, but it's just the moments of what he had to struggle with. Someone said, Mercedes want nearly 900 now for a minor service. Cars are a joke, mate. That Mercedes, I don't know if he's got AMG or something, because 900 for a minor service. I don't know what one he has because that's crazy. Another person says, good rule of thumb, if you can't afford to buy it twice, you can't afford it. Sensible, perfect sense. If you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. Another person says, purchase of any item that you can ill afford is a sure way to find yourself in financial trouble. Saying it as it is. So it's good maybe if you've got a story that you can give to people like people are doing in these clips, but really and truly the moments that you go through it ain't good. And that's like self-inflicted a lot of the time. It's like problems happen in life, but sometimes we put ourselves a lot of time in these problems that we don't even need to be in. So we got to question, what do we look at and why do we look at things and what are we assessing things based on? Is it just because a name has been garnered all over those years and now that name has been put up as a status symbol and that's the only reason why? If that's the case, then I don't think that's the best reason. You've got to want these things because at the end of the day, firstly, you can afford them. And secondly, they shouldn't dictate your worth or well-being, you know, in terms of how you view yourself. And I think that's where the issues lie with these things. Getting them is not a problem. If you can afford them, that's not a problem. It's just the mentality behind what you think yourself like. And if you think, again, I need this at this age, I'm 20 something, and you're not even in a good position to get it, but you want to get it and put yourself in harm, then I don't think that's making any sense in my humble opinion. But good teachable moment for him. And most importantly, hey, you can, like I said, you can say he had a Porsche in his 20s at one point. So that's a little story for him to tell.
Don't buy that new car. Don't do it. Don't do it. I know it's cooler than your current car and it has like all the bells and whistles and it has the colored interior and it just looks cooler and you want to feel cooler and you want to feel like you're it, but don't do it. I'm telling you right now, you are it with your bucket car. Don't do it. And here's why. I am 27 years old and I've always drove cash cars, like $5,000 cars. They got me from point A to point B. I never really cared about like how it looked. I was grateful for what I had. I thought they were great. And then I got married and, you know, he wanted to get a new car. So we've got a car, financed a car. Love the car, hate the payments, hate them. Materialism, specifically with a brand new car, unless you can buy it cash, unless you genuinely make the income to pay the payments and they don't hurt you, let's say you're making at least like a minimum $10,000 to $50,000 a month, which to be honest is what my husband and I were making at the time when we got the car, which is why it didn't really matter to us at the time. But if you don't have the money, do not get the dang car, because $700 a month for a car payment is not fun when that's what jobs are pretty much paying you now every week or two. Like that, it doesn't make sense to pay for a car that you're driving to work to pay for the car. It's a rat race. It's not worth it. Stop worrying about looking cool for your friends. I don't care. You know what's cool? You having delayed gratification. You staying in your bucket car, not caring about what people are saying about you while they rack up debt and have to work to pay off their car.
I think the bucket car term in America is basically like what we will say here in this country, like a runaround, you know, a quick runaround car that gets you from A to B. So she's basically saying have that, more or less. Yes, have that, and obviously have something that is actually reliable though. You know, because I ain't gonna front, a lot of those kind of cars, they can just buck up and mess up on you at any moment, you know? So it's one of them ones where you have to be mindful, obviously, of the type of level. You don't want to have like literally a banger where it's clanking and crinking and, you know what I mean, making all the noises. You have to get something at least, you know, like, you know, a decent car. Nothing, like I said, that's going to cause you a problem, because then it would defeat the purpose of what this video is, which was people who are spending on stuff that is causing them a problem. And, you know, you need to look at it from a certain perspective of, okay, what can I manage? Because at the end of the day, having, as you mentioned, about $700 for, or pounds or whatever, for spending on a car per month, if your finances are not at the level that's required. For me, she said something about her earning at that time 10 to 50K per month. Yeah, okay, you can do that with that salary, you know, paying that kind of amount, $700, you know, per month. But there's people paying $700, $600, $500 or pounds in this country, and they're nowhere near earning the 50K, the 40K, the 30K per month, 20K per month. So again, it's just what you believe the car does for you from a value perspective. You think your value, and a lot of people will think that's where the value comes from in them. And if you've got the money, hey, knock yourself out. But if you're not at that position, why do you have to look at your account every month and see that your outgoings, you've not got enough left? That's my question. A comment says, the best feeling is paying cash and having no car payment. So this person is straight up, no financing like in this country, which has destroyed a lot of people's finances and credit. Another comment says, she said, unless you genuinely make enough that it doesn't hurt you, if you can afford it, go ahead. But if you're not financially stable, buying a new car can destroy your life. Take it from me. And this is the point. The whole mentality here in this whole, you know, assessment so far is just literally about people who at the time made decisions, and it seems based on the lifestyle they were leading. So it seems these two, you know, this woman and her husband were decent financially, doing well. And then they made that step. But it's for how long they were doing well financially is the question, because that's when, and when I mean how well, I mean for how long, it means how, like, were you for years and then you've decided to do this purchase, or was it maybe a couple of months when you started coining it and it's like, oh shoot, I've been getting money now for 6 months now, let me go and do the big thing. You know, sometimes that has to be looked at, how long you are getting to it to then say it constitutes me making a big step. Now, everyone is different. Some people will get it. Oh, my first big paycheck, I spent it on this. You know, you hear those stories, entertainers, you know, sports players or whatever. But for me, I would rather gradually get to that point.
When you're young, do not fall into the trap of financing or purchasing a nice car. Don't get me wrong, if you're financially stable and you can do it, then by all means. But boys, I'm a victim of this. I've got a Mercedes right now, and the amount of money I spend every month on it, I ain't even gonna say it, but it's absurd. So for me personally, I've made my mistake, and I hope you can listen to me, because I had people tell me not to do it and I didn't listen, because I wanted to be that guy with a nice car. It is a trap, especially financing. Like, if you buy it, then fair enough, like, it'll be a lot of money, but if, like I say, if you can afford it, then fair enough. But financing a car is not the way forward, man.
Financing, that is getting people, and it seems Mercedes is a car that people love when it comes to getting, you know, a luxury car. Getting caught up in the Mercedes, you know, the lure of what a Mercedes does to people. But again, it's not about if you should get it when you've got the money. It's more about if you haven't got it. And where are you living? What are you doing to even walk and drive like I've got it? Like, do you know, do you just have that car, but then every month you're like, oh, shit. If you're living like that, then there's no point in having a car. That every month you look at your account, you're like, oh, you're complaining and you're getting frustrated. There's no point. There's no point. You gotta live comfortably, you know? But that's my opinion, man. Whoever wants to do their thing, I think you should learn. Be smart in how you move, man. Don't try and keep up with the Joneses, because them Joneses, you don't know what they're doing behind closed doors and how they feel for what they're having to spend per month. So don't try and look and think, oh, but they're whipping. Okay, but are you in a position to do what you need to do comfortably? That's the question. Someone says, how bad are the monthly payments on the Merc? The person that did the video says, I'm paying over 400 a month. So over 400 a month. That's what he's paying. Young guy. I don't know if he lives at home. Maybe he does. But if he's not, it's even worse. And living in London too? Sheesh. Someone says financing is actually good if you're clever about your finances. Yes, if you're clever about your finances. If you are. If you are. Another person says never finance anything. And then another person says, don't see why people do it. This is why we need more financial education in schools. Financing a liability is silly. Yep. Just get a cheap runaround. Now, the runaround has to really make you run around well. Shouldn't be, breaking down on you. But I understand all of what people are saying. I don't see the benefit if you're young, putting yourself under stress unnecessarily. Now, you can have a nice car if you can afford it, but there's always steps if you can't. So it's important to look at where you are, where you're living, how you're earning, how much are you saving every month, how much can you actually afford. Take some of these stories as learning curves, man, because you're not doing it for no one apart from yourself. Like I say, when you close the door, you don't know what anyone else is doing. You've got to focus on your steps in life and focus on what's important, and then how you can be comfortable to then get and graduate comfortably to the next level if you so want it. But it will be interesting to find out what people think. Please like the video and tell me what you believe makes sense when it comes to car finance and having a car, and what type of cars make sense when you are initially a young person earning maybe obviously not, a high salary. What is your mentality? Is it to use public transport? Is it to get a car, a run around? Or is it to say, you know what? One life, I'm going to put all my money in a car, and even if I live check to check, I'm good. What's your mentality? What's your opinion? It will be interesting to find out.